Hi, I had a friend call me today and she said, I'm working in a job and it's a great company. I'm really loving the work, or I love the company and I'm doing really well. Everybody's very happy, but I'm not sure if this is where I should be. Should I be starting up my own firm? Should I be joining a startup? Is this all there is in life? Am I crazy for thinking of like all this stuff when I have such a good job? And when she asked me those questions, it took me back from my journey. About how I found a job that I'm really passionate about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my journey on the off chance that you might find it useful as you're thinking through your own reflection. So before that, however, a word from our sponsors, which is us. We're doing this for ourselves. So let me get back to you after this. Okay, well, my own journey. Let me start at about the age of what 28, 29 when I was working at Hindustan Levers, and it's a company that I absolutely love. I love the people, I love the systems, I love the processes, I love the ethics of the place. I love the way they treat each other. But I really am not passionate about the products. I'm not a person who's interested in cosmetics. I was selling Fair and Lovely. I don't know why I'm selling Fair and Lovely. I don't even really believe in the product. And I was like, am I going to spend the rest of my life fighting to get, 1% more market share for Close Up and 1% less for Colgate? It just didn't inspire me. It's just something that I didn't really believe was making a big difference in the world. So that was something that was important to me. But I wasn't really sure because it's a great company. It's the best company, let's say, in India over the last 25 years, and I couldn't think of what is better than this. What would be better than this? So what I said is, rather than getting stuck, I'm going to think about what I want in life and find a solution because there are people who have done this. There are books who must be books about people who found their passion in life, etc. So let me share a little bit of that journey, right? So this is how I felt at the time. This is from a presentation that I made at IIM Ahmedabad when they asked us to give a lecture there on our entrepreneurial journey at Stillwater. And I said, this picture kind of encapsulates a little bit how I felt about that time. I felt like I was just drifting and walking, but not really sure where I'm heading to, right? And so I said, okay, let me get a bunch of books, people who have figured out how to decide what they want in life, what is their real passion, what is their meaning in life, what is their vocation, what have they thought. So I got a whole bunch of books like What Color Is Your Parachute, I Could Do Anything With My Life If Only I Knew What It Was, Paul Bronson's fantastic book, What Should I Be Doing With My Life, etc., etc. So I read a whole bunch of these books. The conclusion, let me summarize all that. The Passion Test was a great book as well. Let me summarize all these books that I read. The nutshell, right, of these three books, or these books that I read, was basically they said that you've got to find a job that is at the intersection of things that are you're good at, your strengths, things that you love doing, which is your passion, and things that are useful enough to other people such that they would be willing to pay for it. Otherwise, it's just a hobby, right? It's not really a vocation. So where you can contribute to other people in a way that they really are willing to pay for it. That's how you earn the money, right? So as I thought through for myself, I said, okay, what are my strengths? What am I really good at? I did a whole bunch of psychometrics and stuff like that. And really, I came to the conclusion that what I'm good at and what I've always been good at is understanding complex things and explaining them in a simple way. So right from engineering, when I would be picked as a tutor to explain crystallography, to my chartered accountancy days when I was taught to like roll out the teaching of business audit, to even Hindustan Levers where I was asked to be on the committee that designs the best practice processes for the sales system, etc. It was always about understanding complex things and explaining them in an easy way. So that's what I said was my strength. And to identify my passion, right, I said, okay, let me look at my bookshelf because these are subjects or topics or things that I find interesting that I just am gravitating towards. When I'm in an airport and nobody's paying me to study for an exam or for my work, these are the subjects that I pick up on just like that. So I found that all the books that I had on my bookshelf, they were about learning how to learn faster, about how to help people in different ways, about psychology, about management, about self-development. So I started getting a sense of, okay, this is the sort of space that really excites me, right? And so I said, okay, what is it in this space that I could do with these strengths that would allow me to contribute to other people, something that would be useful for other people, that they would be willing to pay for and that I could earn from. So one was, the first thought I had is, McDonaldized positive psychology. And what I mean by that is, a lot of people think of, when they think of psychology, think of psychotherapy, people with really severe problems, drug addiction, bipolar, a broken marriage, etc. They are the ones who go for therapy. They're the ones who go for counseling. So there's a little bit of a stigma attached with it, saying that it's only when something is really broken that you use psychology. But, I felt like it was something that could be used on a much wider level to a much larger population, high functioning individuals, the best CEOs, executives. They could use a lot of these tools to become more effective in their life. So what I meant by McDonaldized positive psychology is effectively make it accessible to a much larger group of people through some way, right? The second area that I thought of was politics. Okay, maybe if I can understand, macroeconomics or the important policy decisions, and then I can explain them in a way that makes sense to the masses, then maybe we can do something really positive in India's political system. So that's one idea I had. Maybe I could contribute in that area. Another area was mass education. Again, taking complex subjects, making them accessible to many people, like a Khan Academy, maybe something like what Byju's is doing just now in a paid model, etc. And the final thought I had was becoming a writer. So something like a Malcolm Gladwell, where he's a popular writer, where he takes these complex topics, makes them really interesting and easy to understand, and presents them to a public, and then gets a much more mass reach for those ideas. So those were some of the thoughts that I had about areas that I could explore. But then I was, okay, what's next? I've done some brainstorming. So I said, okay, let me look at the main choices that are coming up that kind of resonate as, okay, these are the ones that I feel are most viable, the ones that fit for me. And I know this is really a detailed chart. You probably can't read this unless you're watching this presentation in IMAX and 8D or something, but I will explain what these different boxes are, so don't worry if you can't read them. I will talk you through them. At the top, in terms of the columns, are the different options that I was considering in terms of the job. So TWP stands for The Works Partnership. It's a training company based in Singapore. And that was where I had attended a leadership program, which I loved. And I said, maybe I could join them, tell them, hey, listen, I love your work. I will help you expand in India. So that was one option I was considering. Second option was starting my own training company, my own coaching firm. Again, pros and cons there. The third option I was considering is maybe PhD. What I loved about HUL and marketing was understanding the psychology of consumers and why they buy things, and what are the trends in society and culture that are moving in different directions. So maybe a PhD in something like, consumer behavior, for example, that is something that will, allow me to into that space in a more academic sense, and really understand the psyche of people. That's something I found very interesting. The fourth option I considered was, okay, if developing people and coaching people is something that's important, maybe I could become an HR manager. So switch from sales to HR in learning and development, for example, in HUL or any big company. So that's an option that I was considering. And then there was also consulting. So strategy consulting. If I like understanding complex things, maybe it's like breaking down problems for clients, understanding the market economy, the structure of the company, the organizational structure, etc., and finding solutions and presenting that. And maybe that allows me to do some high impact projects using my strengths. So those were some options on the top. And then on the left hand side, what I have is pros and cons. So for each option, what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages? But then I subdivided that. So under pros, it was pros for myself and the impact on the people, the positive impact on people around me. And again, for cons, I had, cons for myself and the cons for the people who are really important to me. So also consider the impact of this job change on the people that I care about, right? And to give you an example, so let me give you an example of how I did this analysis. So I won't talk through all of that because it's not necessarily relevant for you. But let's say for consulting, I said the advantages are high salary. You can go for international holidays. There's a high level of security. You can have a good pension, high credibility. You can get a whole bunch of interesting jobs once you've got that on your CV. In terms of the impact on the others, we can go nice holidays for the family. There's a comfortable car. My parents are happy because they think, beta secure ho gaya sort of things. I don't need to borrow any money from my parents. I'm earning quite a bit myself, hopefully in a consulting job. The cons was it's not really the stuff I'm really passionate about, which is the self-awareness work, right? It wasn't involved in that political side that I was hypothesizing about. There was a lot of travel. So in terms of the impact on others, I might not be able to spend as much time with Avantika, my wife, or Kean, my baby on the way, and Kaizen, who came a little bit later. So would I really be able to spend as much time with my family? So those were the concerns. Similarly, on an entrepreneur starting my own company, well, I'm my own boss. I have freedom of expression. I can determine my own salary. But maybe it'll push me to find out the maximum that I can do, because I'm making all the decisions. It's all on me. So really reaching my potential as an entrepreneur when it's my decisions, maybe that's the fastest way of growing. I could use Papa as a coach, so the impact on others. My dad was retired, so I thought maybe he could join me as an experienced coach. But the cons was there's no fixed salary as an entrepreneur. You might fail. The stress is a lot higher. The impact on the family is maybe my stress impacts on them. Maybe I'm not spending time with them because I'm so worried about the business failing, etc. So again, for all these options, I consider the pros and cons, both for myself and for the people who are really important to me. And then I said, okay, what's next, right? So after I'd done the pros and cons, I said, let me put some numbers on it, because that's what I do. And so what did I do here? Let me have a look at this. These are some numbers that I put. So again, at the top are the various options: entrepreneur, TWP, consulting, doing a PhD, HR, etc. And then on the left-hand side, I noted down all the factors that I felt were really important to me, the basis of which I would make this decision. And so quite often, when people are not sure what the decision is that they would make, I always ask them, what is the basis on which you would make this decision? What are the principles on using which you would read the conclusions you will reach? And I've always found that helps. So for me, what were the underlying criteria I was going to use to assess these different options? I said salary, that's one, right? Second is certainty of salary. So, as an entrepreneur, I might become a billionaire, but I might fail and go bankrupt as well. So there's a certain thing where not just the average salary, but also, how certain is that? In consulting, you have a pretty high salary, and it's also pretty certain that you're going to get that if you get to that level. Then the stress levels, PhD, for example, maybe it's not that stress level. I know that's what, I imagined it wouldn't be as stressful in the academic world as it might be as an entrepreneur, where, you're always hunting for business, you're always worried about money and where the next paycheck is going to come in. A work-life balance, again, maybe that's less in consulting compared to, say, an HR job was how I imagined at that time. Whether it's something that I'm really excited about, that really is at the core of the change I want to make in the world. Proximity to parents was something that was really important to me. So if I wanted to do a PhD in Wharton or Harvard or someplace like that, I could say, well, I'm going to be in America for many, many years. And at that time, ISB didn't have a PhD program at the time. So I was like, do I really want to settle abroad and teach in Stanford or someplace like that when my parents are here in India? And I said, no, I really want to come back. So that was something. So I ranked it on all these things and got overall scores. Now, the numbers don't really, it's not like I'm going to decide based on the number, but going through the process of putting a number and getting, okay, what is the number saying? It gave me a bit of an idea, okay, which ones of these are looking stronger options, which ones are looking weaker options? How do I feel about the numbers? Does it resonate? Does it match what I'm feeling? Because you always got to tie in an objective analysis to the extent you can get one with your subjective intuition. I'm not going to use one or the other exclusively. So that's how I sort of married. And I looked at the numbers and said, okay, what resonates, what doesn't? And then finally, I put them in order. So what is my first option, second option, third option? And I think this is the last step that I'm going to show you is something that many people don't do. They always say, well, if this doesn't happen, what will happen, right? So I basically said, I'm going to make a decision tree. I'm going to take what is my first option, and if that doesn't happen, what am I going to do, right? And if that doesn't happen, what I'm going to do. So let me just, instead of saying what will happen if it doesn't happen, let me decide if it doesn't happen, this is what I'm going to do. So let me talk you through my thought process. One thing I said was, okay, I'm going to stay at HUL for the next quarter, right? Because I haven't applied anywhere. I don't have any applications. I've got to be here for the next quarter. I got a little bit, worried, saying, what if I stay here and I start getting bored? And as a result of that, my performance starts falling down. At that time I was performing really well, but if it starts performing down, then is a chance where they could even ask me to leave. I could get sacked, right? I'm just joking around, and I said I will sue them because I'm doing, the fastest growing area in the country just now. So they will take me back. Just joking, of course. They wouldn't have sacked me. Hopefully, I wouldn't have sued them, of course. But yeah, that was just joking around. But I realized I had to be there for the next quarter anyway. Then I said, okay, something that I am kind of passionate about is Google's mission, because their mission statement was that you make all the knowledge in the universe kind of available of all time and make it accessible for free to everybody, right? And that was something that really inspired me. What could we achieve if we got all the knowledge available to everybody? So that was really something that the meaning, the purpose excited me a lot more than selling cosmetics. And I said, okay, let me apply to Google, right? And so if I said Google gets back, then I might just join Google, right? So that's the option over here. But if they don't, right, then maybe I can apply to the McKinseys, the BCGs, etc. Because consulting is a good option, and I can do that for a while. Join the consulting world, work there for a while, but it's not what I really want to do long term. I really want to be in the self-awareness world. So then I'll join TWP, the company that had done the training for me, and then eventually maybe I'll start my own company. After a while, I've got some experience. What if they don't hire me? So if I don't get into any of the top consulting companies, the consulting doesn't work out is the option over here. Well, I'll do another way of marketing, because a lot of people say that if you do sales and marketing in HL, that's very marketable. You've got the both sales and marketing, not just sales, which is what I had done. So I'll do that. And once I've got, like 3 years of sales, 2 years of marketing, maybe, then I'll apply for PhD in consumer behavior. Maybe I'll become a professor/consultant for companies with that, right? At the same time, I said at a parallel, irrespective of which path I take, I'm going to start saving money, because one of the reasons that I'm not considering entrepreneurship straight away is because I feel like I haven't saved enough. So whichever path, I need to be more responsible about this. I need to buy a house, maybe start paying monthly EMIs, just be much more responsible about money, something I hadn't done until then. If I'm interested in psychology, the second thing is I can do a psychology course. Why not attend it? Why not just sign up for some online programs, find some psychology courses or self-awareness programs, in-person programs, pay my money and go attend that, and we'll see what happens, right? And the third option was writing a book. So let me write a book. If it becomes a bestseller, who knows? Maybe I can become an author as a career. So if that works out, that's another option I could consider. But there's nothing that stops me from writing a book in my spare time. So I made a pyramid and a decision tree, and I wasn't like, what if it doesn't happen? If it doesn't happen, this is what I will do. If that doesn't happen, this is what I'll do. So I made out a path, a roadmap. 10 years later, I did get, to the final interview of Google, and actually I said no to them at that time because I had a job offer for TW, but I think I was pretty likely to get that final offer from Google. I did join AsiaWorks, I joined them. I was the India country head for 3 years. I did start my own company, Stillwater, after working with TWP. I did become a professor at ISB. I did write a book. I'm going to write 2 more. I'm like halfway through that. I teach psychology courses. I attended lots of psychology courses, but now I deliver self-awareness programs. And I did, end up buying a house. So everything that I initially planned on that decision tree, it did eventually happen, even if it didn't quite happen the way that I thought it would, or at the time it would, or in the order that I thought it would happen, perhaps. But it all did happen, and I think that for me, my learning is write it down, go through the process. Don't just sit there and say, oh, what is right for me? What should I be doing in life? Go through the process. There's nobody else who's going to decide it except for you, right? And so then, finally, the decision I ended up taking was starting our own company. And I said to Girish, hey, let's start something. And then Avantika, of course, joined us very soon afterwards. And that's been my journey. Maybe later I'll talk a lot more about what it's like being an entrepreneur, how I became an executive coach. But, when I started training, I absolutely loved it. I loved it so much that I would do it in my spare time for free. I did like 13 workshops, I think, completely for free on the weekends. I would work during the week, do the workshops, and in the weekend, I would just put posts on Facebook, who wants to do a free program? And I would like fly to different cities, paying my own money on those, those flights, paying for my own accommodation, saying, hey, you guys arrange the venue and the house. I will come there and I will deliver this program, get as many people from the program. I did like 13 free programs. And then I was like, okay, when the kid came, let me start charging, or let me do a few other. But it literally is a job that I love so much. I would do it for free, and I have done it for free. And I do lots of free workshops as well. So that's been my journey. It's something that I'm really, really. I don't know anybody who loves their job as much as me. I really do love what I do, and this is the journey that I took. And I hope that helps you. Best of luck with your journey. If you would like to do a program with Stillwater, if you're a corporate, you can join us. You can check out our website for all of these L&D professionals who are looking, can Stillwater do a leadership program for your company? www.stillwater.co.in. For individuals, if you want to do a leadership program for yourself and think through a lot of decisions that you want to make in your life in all areas, tinyurl.com/stillwaterpraxium. That's our program for public participants. So check us out over there and sign up, and I'll see you there. Final words. We're really looking forward to working with you.
We'll send you your first lesson soon.
So work hard and learn loads on this leadership journey.